Happy holidays, Homestead. This is Greg Gilio, principal of Homestead High School, and it is Friday, December 22nd. Hopefully, your students are all maybe still sleeping at this point, or you're off on a plane or traveling somewhere. We want to wish you all a great holiday break. I did have a few things here I wanted to get through, so if you have nothing better to do and you're waiting for Santa to come, here are a few things that you can pay attention to and learn about. So, a couple shout outs we got this week. We have one for Natalie Della Santina. And it says she's a great science teacher and hardworking. Another shout out for Mr. Matt Guevara. My child has never enjoyed math until this year with Mr. Guevara. He really relates to students on a personal level. Thank you. And I just want to say, I do share these with the staff members, and it always brightens their day when they hear and see these things. So really, thank you for sending those in. And we will be looking forward for more of these in the new year. Speaking of the survey, I'm pausing it while we're on break, and I'll start it back up again in January. But there'll be a new survey at that point. So no survey right now, and we're all on break. No questions and suggestions until we get back. So several suggestions this year or this week. We have people are saying they would like to see more student involvement in our campus cleaning and make sure the campus is clean. And we definitely agree with that. There are times throughout the year where it gets better or worse. And the Epitaph did just do an article on it and talking about kind of how messy it's looking. And I agree, it's been very messy lately. So we're making some extra efforts to remind folks to clean up and to do that. And every once in a while, we might also assign a consequence for somebody who's been misbehaving to do some cleaning. But yeah, we really appreciate students looking after themselves and taking care of the campus. That would be super helpful, but we agree with that one. This person was asking for more communication to go home via SMS, which I'm assuming is text, not Sunnyvale Middle School, because the school emails go directly to spam folder. We do try to do a variety of different things. We send them in a variety of different ways, so they're not always just text. Sometimes, we try to send it out to the widest audience, but sometimes the information is so big we need to do it in an email because there might be attachments or other things like that. But so we do try, and some people don't actually like getting messages on their phones because they think it might be maybe too invasive, or sometimes people get charged for it. We don't want that to happen. But if you are a person who ends up getting these emails come to your spam, please go in there and you can actually recognize or allow those fuhsd.org emails to come through. And so you can fish those out. If you need some help, we can always happy to help you on this side with our tech folks. So understand. Someone just simply said, don't have 8 periods. And so again, this probably goes back to when you mentioned in the previous video that the district and the Teachers Association are talking about looking at the viability of an 8-period day. Again, it is just discussion right now. There are some reasons to have it, some reasons to not. Some of the reasons to think about having it would be things like there are more opportunities for students to get their choices, because if you have 8 periods, you can spread the singletons, which are the classes that are only offered once or twice in a day, which become very restrictive to a student's schedule. You can spread those out so students might be able to get more. It definitely protects some of the electives that are out there. Especially, we had a concern when ethnic studies and health class coming in freshman year in a couple years, not yet, but it's going to be a graduation requirement soon. That's definitely going to affect choices in the way people schedule their classes. It also allows maybe some more prep time for teachers during the day. So always a good thing. Some of the cons, right, is that there would be some shorter instructional periods. There are potentials to have more holes because you may only have 5 or 6 classes. You're not necessarily going to have 8 classes or even 7 classes. But there are people who need 7 classes because they're in support programs, or they might be needing to make up credits. It allows them to be able to do that during the day. But it could also create some bigger holes in people's schedule, and we know that not everybody likes that. And we're not quite sure how the prep time would necessarily work, because sometimes we're trying to schedule common preps. Whether that works or not, that could be a question too. So again, there's some good and bad about this. This discussion is going to be going on into January, but there is a decision that's going to need to be made here soon, so that we can start scheduling, doing all this course scheduling stuff. So that'll be coming up soon. So you'll hear more about that in the new year. Some questions and concerns. Someone was asking about what happened with the recent vandalism. So I'm not sure if you knew this, but last Friday, there was some spray paint. Some kids came on campus overnight and spray painted, tagged up some stuff. They also tagged the bridge over 280. We were able to see who it was. It did not look like our students. So we didn't, at least none of us recognize them. We sent it out to other schools, and we're asking other schools to possibly recognize those individuals. If we find them out, we definitely will get it. We do not think they were ours, though. So we did call police if they do find somebody, because there was property damage to our school and to the bridge. There would be some prosecution going on. And if you happen to have any info about it, we'll be happy to follow up on that and turn that over to the sheriffs. Yeah, so it was, and I'm glad to say that most of it has been cleaned off or painted over at this point. There might be a couple of doors or things that we need to do a little better job painting on and matching the paint, but we will do that, and that'll be all clean and gone by the new year. So it was a bit of an unfortunate bummer, but it was nothing threatening. It was nothing, you know, nothing that couldn't be cleaned off or just dealt with. So it just looked like some random tagging, to be quite honest. This is a very long one, and I put it on here because I'm going to answer it, but I also didn't want to necessarily read every line of this, but you can pause the video and take a look at what they're talking about here. But every so often we get some concerns raised about Securely, which is the network system that, it's a filtering system that we are required to, not necessarily Securely is that we're required to do, but we're required to filter out stuff. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But there's a lot of questions here about, they think it's invasive. They think it causes inconvenience. It blocks things that shouldn't be blocked. This, can we get something else to help? And so I did go and talk to our folks at the district office. And yes, by state regulations, we do have to require a filter. And it also helps us to secure funding. So again, we need the funding to keep the computers and stuff going and the networks going. So we definitely will follow those rules to keep the funds coming in. Every district in the state of California has to do this. And as far as we know, every single district is in compliance. And so they're using different things. And so some are better than others. And so right now, the one we had chosen was Securely, but so there has some pros and some cons to it, definitely. But if you're using a personal device, the filter is only going to affect websites when you are logged onto our network here at site. So you log onto our site, you have it on your computer, it says, oh, these sites are blocked, you can't be on there. Once you leave, though, it does not regulate them at your house. If it is, then there's something weird going on. You can come talk to our tech team, but that should not be happening. If you have a school loaned Chromebook and you take that home, it will still filter, because as a school provided resource, we are still required to keep the filter on there. So that's why that ends up being filtered. We really, actually, people say, oh, you can see our private information. There are, if we really wanted to dive deep into it, yeah, there are things we could look at, but, we really don't have the time, the energy, the manpower to do that. We're not gathering your information. We're not selling your information. It is really not something you need to worry about. Trust me, we don't have enough time and money and patience to do that. If you come across a website, though, that you think needs to be available or is got marked, for some weird reason, let us know. You can email me, you can email folks at the district office, and we will mark it as secure on a list that we have after we would verify it, of course. But I just want to let you know, I did pass along all of your concerns to Scott Harrington, who is the person in charge of this over at the DO. So he is aware of your concerns. These are not new concerns, these have come up, but again, if you have more specifics, he's the guy to contact. Like to know more about high school dating. I wonder how many students are dating at Homestead High School, and if the school can provide more education to students on healthy relationships. Be honest, this is another thing we don't keep a lot of data on. We're not really in the business of figuring out who's dating whom and why and what for. But obviously that does happen here at high school. It happens in middle school, it happens in elementary, but more severely here at high school because kids are older and can get into more serious issues, which I think is what this person is addressing here. But, if we see things that are going on here on campus, if we're seeing, a relationship that looks like it's problematic, or one person's treating the other person poorly, then we do have an obligation to step in and advise and help, and in some cases give consequences. But again, for the most part, we try to leave those out of our business as long as they're, behaving and acting appropriately. Some of our advisories, when we do throughout the year, do address things like communication and relationships. But I wouldn't say that it necessarily talks on a specific about here's how to be a good partner or a date. To be honest, this is one of those subjects that really would be a better fit for families to talk about, like what you want your son or daughter to do in terms of dating or not do, or how they're expected to behave and that kind of stuff. So lots of families have different morals and different values. And again, we don't want to impose ours on yours in that regard. But when you're here at school, obviously, relationships need to be appropriate, and they need to be legal, and they need to be consensual and all that kind of stuff. So if there's any of those issues pop up, we'll definitely address it. And also, if we need to give some support and help, we can do that too. This is also, though, if you have some questions, maybe our school-based therapists or our counselors might be good for this area. Some general information for you. As you know, we are closed over the break. So starting at about 2 p.m. on Friday, the 22nd, that's today, we're going to be totally shut down. There's going to be hardly anybody on campus. Over the course, there's definitely some, some events and things going on. There'll be some limited to no staff at some of those events. So just know that the campus is meant to be closed. We don't open back up again until about 7 a.m. on January 8th officially. I mean, again, there'll be people coming and going for games and events, but nothing serious in terms of like school and people staffing the office. Normally I just want to say we have a 24 to 48 hour turnaround for communications, but that's our expectation for staff if you email or talk to us. But understand that during this break, that is not a requirement anymore. We didn't require staff to even look at their emails, can't force them to do so. Some of them are traveling, so they may not have access to it until we return. So we just ask for your patience. And if anything's going on, if you're having a true emergency, whether it's a medical emergency or legal emergency, definitely call 911 or your own supporters. But a lot of our things are going to be turned off over the break because our folks will not be paying attention. So you can email us, but it might take a little bit longer to get a response back. And that's just because we're off enjoying our families as much as hopefully you're enjoying your families and friends. We want to just let you know that our ASB student store online store is going to be under construction. There were some changes in the providers that we were using, and so we have to switch over to a new one. So starting right now today, it's going to be undergoing these improvements and changes. Please be patient. It's going to take us about a month to get everything up and working again, and so our goal is to have it up and running by February 1st. If you need a transaction through the student store, though, you can go to the ASB office on campus and directly do it there. Or talk to Miss Candy Marug, and she can help you out as well. Again, even though we're about to go on break, there are some important dates to think about when you get back next semester, including the start of next semester, which is January 8th. We also have that night some SAT sales start and goes on for the week if you're doing, the SAT testing. There's also going to be a financial aid information night that night of the 8th. As we've talked about in some previous ones, the winter formal's coming up on the 12th. We have no school for Martin Luther King Day on the 15th. Starting on the 16th and going for the week, we have guidance presentations to juniors. They'll be happening in their history class, I believe. And then we have a presentation on the night of the 17th for the parents of juniors. So we encourage you to attend that. As always, we always post all that stuff online and the presentations if you end up missing them. So, but that's our last weekly video for the year. Thank you for tuning in all the time and for sending us information. Like I said, the survey is going to be shut down for the break here, but we'll come back with a new one. But what I hope all of you have some restful and relaxing time with family and friends, recharge and get ready for next year because we're looking forward to a great and fantastic 2024. Take care, everybody, and see you in the new year.